to help us prevent fraud by educating the public.
Thank you. Thank you, Clinton. And as a reminder, if you've just joined us, this is an interactive telephone town hall. We're joined by Carmen Millian with the Better Business Bureau and 2 special agents with the FBI, and we're talking holiday fraud and how you can protect yourself this season. If you have a question or you would like to share your fraud story, please press *3 on your telephone keypad, and we'll place you in our queue, and then you'll be screened, and then we'll go live with your question or your story. But before we do that, we're going to go to our first topic. And Carmen, we'll start with you if that's all right.
Sure.
I can guarantee this one is probably the most top of mind for most of our listeners right now, and that's online shopping scams. With so many people shopping online during the holidays, and it really even starts right before the holidays, but right now we're probably hitting that peak time. What are some of the most common scams people should be aware of?
Yeah, well, first of all, since COVID hit in 2020, we know that it's been a point where people have found that it's easy to shop online. And so that's a new way that people are shopping now. With social media, consumers are getting hit with all these ads that are telling them about these great products or the most in-demand toy or whatever the case may be, and they can get it if they click on this link. And those are things that we're concerned about. We used to could direct consumers or instruct them by saying, hey, look, just look at the spelling, look at the language. Those are things to look out for that shows you it possibly could be a scam. Unfortunately, with AI, which is artificial intelligence, they're learning to correct those mistakes. So they're making the ads look more legitimate. But you have to understand, if there's an offer, you want to make sure that you know who you're purchasing from. Investigate the company. Never pay with a debit card or a cash card. Always use a credit card or a PayPal. Something that makes sense, that if you don't receive the merchandise or it was misleading, you have an out to get your money back. Never make a purchase based on pressure. You have to get it now or it's going to be gone. You see a lot of those. A lot of these infomercials are out there really talking to you about how wonderful these products are. You have to do your homework before you make a purchase. And if you're not sure about the company and you haven't done business with them, you need to check with the Better Business Bureau. And also understand return and refund policies. They have to be in writing. Don't assume just because one store takes it back, everybody else is going to. Know your rights before you click on that button to purchase something.
Carmen, in 30 seconds, if you can do this in 30 seconds, explain why you would use your credit card versus your debit card, just so folks on the call know what the benefit is.
Good question. When you do a debit card, when you use a debit card, it essentially comes directly out of your bank. When you do a credit card, when you purchase with a credit card or PayPal, you're not paying immediately. You have the option to get the bill and dispute the charge.
Got it. Okay. All right. We're going to go now to, let's see, do we have anybody in the queue that needs to ask their question? Yes, we do. All right. So we have Richard from Lafayette. Actually, I believe it's Miranda. I apologize, Miranda. Miranda, we're going to go to you live, and you can ask your question. Here we go. Miranda, you there?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and ask your question.
I was wondering how we could differentiate from real telemarketers and a con artist.
Telemarketers and a con artist. Honestly, if you receive a call, an email, any kind of contact, you should automatically check it before you provide information. Don't assume just because caller ID or your social media says that they are with a telemarketer or whoever, a company. IRS, they could say they're with anybody. Don't assume that's fact. Never provide information to them if they're asking you for personal financial information. Get their company name, their address, their phone number. Tell them you're going to check it out before you give any information. The best thing to do, not answer the phone if you don't recognize the caller or the number. Let them leave a message, and then check with us before you involve yourself in that situation.
And this is Krista Bradford with the FBI. I just wanted to add to that. Another red flag that we see in a lot of scams is if someone reaches out to you for, if they're a telemarketer or they say they're with the government or law enforcement, and they ask you for payments or ask you for gift cards. That's something very common that we see, that people are calling and soliciting for you to go to the store and buy a gift card and send them a picture of it. And no legitimate law enforcement or government agency would ever ask you to do that.
Absolutely. And understand that the gift card, the reason why it works so well is when you send them the picture of the gift card, they can take the numbers and remove the money from that gift card instantly, and you will never get that money back, more than likely.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to another caller. Again, hit *3 on your keypad if you want to ask a question from either the agents from the FBI or from the Better Business Bureau. We have both organizations represented on this call this morning. We're going to go to Gwendolyn here in Baton Rouge. Gwendolyn wants to ask a question about PayPal. And Gwendolyn, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead and ask your question because I think it's a good one.
Okay. I was just wondering if PayPal was connected to your checking account or your debit card. Does it, is it connected? Because I see it a lot, but I was afraid to use it.
Okay, well, as I understand it, it's not connected to directly to your bank account. It's not going to remove it. And before you make a purchase with PayPal or any agency that's on there, you have a right to reach out to them and say, "Tell me how this works. How is it going to take the money from my account, and how can I dispute it if that's if there's a dispute?" And that's why we always say a credit card is always a good idea because you're in control of that.
Okay, thank you. I've been in the position of having to dispute a PayPal transaction, and I will say that it's not easy. There is a process to doing it, and it does take time. There is some difficulty reaching the right people based on their hours of operation. So, it will definitely address your issue, but you have to be patient because it's not extremely easy to do. All right, we are still screening calls. We have Judy in Port Allen who wants to ask a question related to FedEx. So, Judy, we're going to go live to you. Judy in Port Allen, are you there?
I am. Okay,
hey,
I
Judy,
had someone call me. I had someone call me and told me I had won a Mercedes car, and to go to FedEx and fax them my debit card or credit. No, they asked me did I have a credit card. I told them I only had a debit card. So they told me, well, you don't have a credit card? I said, no. So they asked me for the debit card. So I told them, okay. They told me to go to FedEx and send them the information. So in that case, should I have had reported it to the Better Business Bureau or the FBI?
You can report it to the Better Business Bureau. We have a website and a link that is bbb.org/scam tracker, and that allows the Better Business Bureau to see what scams are hitting our area, so we can do alerts. But understand, anytime somebody tells you that you've won something, especially if you haven't applied for it, and if they're asking for money, no matter how they're asking for money or what the amount is, it's more than likely a scam. So assume that and don't fall for it, no matter if there's pressure, whatever. People make bad decisions in a desperate situation, so you always want to take a step back, think about it, call somebody. And usually it's the Better Business Bureau. And if we don't think we can handle or it's too big, we'll turn over to other authorities. But you can log it in as a scam on our website.
And we also at the FBI have a website called ic3.gov. And so if anything happens like that where someone attempts to scam you or there is a scam, I mean, you could definitely report it to both the Better Business Bureau and to us. And then with us, we can track it, across the country to see if maybe phone numbers match up or emails, addresses match up. So any information that you can share at ic3.gov is very helpful for us.
IC is in Charlie 3. Is that what you said?
Yes. ic3.gov.
GOV. G-O-V
Right.
is in Victor. Okay.
The Better Business Bureau actually gives a pamphlet out with that information as well because we do think it's very important.
Got it. This is probably a good idea or a good time to rattle off a few other ways you can report either a suspected scam or price gouging or whatever the case may be. You can go to the Attorney General's office here in Louisiana. If you can go to ag.state.la.us. That's if you suspect a scam or price gouging, and you can please report. You can report it to the Department of Justice Consumer Protection Hotline at 1-800-351-4889. So again, that hotline, if you're suspecting a scam, 1-800-351-4889, or you can fill out a consumer dispute form online through the AG's office. You heard from Carmen about their resources. You heard from Krista about the FBI's resources, the ic3.gov website. Krista and Clinton, I want to go back to you guys real quick and ask you all a question. First of all, for those on the call, hit *3 if you want to get into our queue to ask your question. We're screening calls as we speak, so we'll be able to screen your call, and then we'll get you live into one of our guests. But before we do that, Clinton, want to ask you and Krista about gift cards. That's another popular topic right now in the holiday season. There are several possible scammers. But Clinton, what are some of the most popular and most prominent scams related to gift cards?
We have
Krista, either one.
So this is Clinton. There are instances where scammers will go in and they'll scratch off the back of a gift card, and they're going to record the information on the back of that card, and then sometimes they'll even replace it with similar silver-looking paint that you'll scratch off if you were to buy it. They're going to take that information, and again, as soon as you activate that card, they're going to try to preemptively get in there and have that ready to then just drain the gift card that you've purchased of whatever funds are on it. That's a very common one. So one of the solutions to that, a better idea is going to, a marketplace where you feel comfortable in buying e-gift cards and sending it directly electronically to somebody through a company that obviously you've researched and or trust.
Okay. So, explain a little bit. So, give an example of a trusted source. Like what you're talking about, like Walmart, Best Buy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to vouch for any one company, obviously, but
sure.
I mean, the names that you've heard of, the established companies that have been around for a long time that you're aware of and you're comfortable with, and you've probably already dealt with in the past and had good, good involvement with. I would be more skeptical of something that's brand new, something that you're not familiar with, or something you've never even heard of for sure. But, we all kind of understand who the big players are. And then, think back to your experience, which one was the best one I worked with and dealt with, and then maybe go through them.
Okay.
I would also like to add this, if it's possible. One of the things
sure.
that I like to tell consumers is if you're going to purchase a gift card, even if it is a well-known company, look at where the gift cards are. Are they in are they accessible to anybody who can just walk in and, like he said, scratch off, or are they in a place that's safe, that's protected? If there's nobody actually protecting that area, you need to be concerned about purchasing it because it's going to make it easy for those scammers to scratch those numbers off.
Okay, good. That's a good tip as well. We're getting some more calls into our queue, and these don't really involve holiday issues. However, these are timely year-round, so we're going to go ahead and go to a couple of them, and they involve Medicaid and Medicare, and we're going to go to, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Meletta in St. Joseph. Meletta has a question about calls that she's getting for Medicaid and Medicare and how to report it. Meletta, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What is your question?
I'd like to know how we can protect ourselves from the calls we get from Medicare and Medicaid. They make it sound like it's very necessary for you to reveal this, and I don't know how to protect myself from it.
Well, I think this is
hanging the phone up.
I think that's a good option. This is Krista with the FBI, and like Carmen said earlier, if there's numbers you don't recognize, you don't need to answer those. And again, government agencies are not going to be contacting you to solicit information from you. And I know that's a common scam where people call and say you need, an Advantage program, or you need to add on to this, or to give you their Medicare information. There's a lot of scammers who would like to have your Medicare number and your information, because then they, will either sell it or they can bill for services that you don't even get. So again, legitimate government agencies or even private agencies are not going to call you and ask you to provide any personal information over the phone. So that should be a huge red flag for you. And, like Carmen said, or also like, you might feel pressured, and they're, like you said, they're making it sound like this is something that has to be done immediately, but that's just not the case. And just take a deep breath and really, think about what they're asking you for, and don't share any personal information over the phone with strangers.
And part of that is training yourself to not answer that question automatically, because sometimes when you get these calls, you assume because of the pressure, like Krista said, and maybe you're just not sure and you don't want to miss an opportunity. Don't assume that it's legitimate. Just automatically train yourself not to provide that information, to be skeptical. Know that they're not going to call you. If you're not sure about it, hang up the phone and call the number on the back of the card that you have, so that you're dealing with somebody who's legitimate. And on the other case, it may be somebody trying to sell you something that you may or may not need. Again, don't respond to a call, because you don't want to be put in a situation where you purchase something and then you try to get out of it later, or that you give them personal financial information and then you become a victim of identity theft. Never respond, especially if you're not familiar with it. And as she said, government is never going to call you. They don't have time to.
That's
true. And we have another call. And first of all, I want to remind folks, hit *3 on your keypad if you want to ask us a question. If you want to ask either of our two special agents from the FBI, both Krista and Clinton, or if you want to ask a question of Carmen with the Better Business Bureau, or if you just want to ask a general question, we can field it as appropriately. But hit *3 on your keypad, and so we can get you screened, because we're not going to be able to do this call. Well, we have about 15 or 20 minutes, so get those calls in now so we can get to them before we have to wrap up. We do have another caller that is asking a very similar question about Social Security, and I feel like I know the answer to this, but we'll go to Gladys anyway and have Gladys ask her question. It's regarding her deceased husband's life insurance policy. Gladys, are you there?
Yes.
All right, Gladys, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. My question is, I got a letter from an insurance company, and it said that my husband had taken out an insurance policy with them, and he didn't pay for it the last year, and the policy has deleted down to $100 and some dollars. I said, well, why didn't y'all send the money in before deleted that much. She said, well, I'm going to send you a form to fill out and send me a copy of his death certificate and your driver's license, and I'll send you the money. I said, you sure? She said, yes. Oh, you'll get it very soon. And that's been 3 weeks ago. Well, I called my daughter. She's in the Navy in Dallas, Texas. She said, Mama, please do not send them people any of your information because that's a scan artist. And what they're going to do, they're going to take Daddy's death certificate and they're going to take his name off there and they're going to use it and use it and use it. They're going to take your driver's license number and they're going to use your driver's license number. She said, do not send them people any of y'all information. That's a scan artist. And it's been 3 weeks and I haven't heard from them since. So if anybody who's listening, I get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, my phone is ringing, these people calling, these 800 number, 337 number. Yesterday, I wrote down 15 numbers that I got from God knows who. I do not answer the phone. Now, that's 15 wasted time. I could have an emergency coming through at that time.
Well, and that's
everybody
fine.
that is listening, please don't answer your.
Well, I think we lost Gladys, but her question is valid. What do you do if you get calls, or what should she do in that situation? She's getting questions from life insurance companies, wherever the case may be, asking her to send in a bunch of information. How do you handle that?
Well, first of all, you have to take control of the conversation. You have to ask them for their company name, their phone number, their mailing address. Tell them that they're going to check on it, and if they're interested, they will call that company back. But never, ever just agree to provide them with information. It may be a legitimate insurance claim, who knows, but we have to be able to check it out. And if there's any question, we should be able to tell her that or the caller that. The other thing is, to kind of reiterate what she was saying, is it is unfortunate, but you cannot trust caller ID. Scammers are very good. They know how to manipulate the phone system. They can make it look like they're calling from somebody in your area. Don't trust it. If you don't recognize the number, don't answer the call. Let them leave a message. Don't worry about turning the phone numbers in a lot of cases because the phone's been manipulated. They can. Sometimes we get calls from the Better Business Bureau and people will say, well, we just got a call from this number. We didn't call you. A scammer used our number to make that call. Just don't assume that it's legitimate. Investigate before you give any information.
So in a situation where you get a letter, what is the appropriate way to handle that?
If you get a letter and they're telling you that you have money coming to you, still contact the Better Business Bureau. If we can't look it up for you, we can get you in contact with the proper agency, whether it's the Commissioner of Insurance or the actual company. The insurance company, verify that is the legitimate agency, but we can investigate it for them. That's one of the things that we do on a daily basis to even determine if it's valid. I know we get a lot of calls from people who, get these letters on these class action suits. Well, they call us, let us look into it and determine if it's even a class action suit and if the agency that's sending them a letter is the actual address, phone number, and organization that's contacting them. We can do that quickly for them.
Gotcha. So I want to turn my attention to the FBI. We've talked about several different things this morning, but to Clinton and to Krista, as we're nearing the end of our call, what are some of the online scams that y'all have seen that we haven't covered so far today? Was there anything else new out there that is starting to get attention, or some of the old trusted scams that are still continuing to pick up steam?
Well, this is Clinton with the FBI. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of both, right? We're seeing new technologies being utilized, such as a lot of the scammers are wanting people to invest in cryptocurrency. That's one of our newer style scams. We have one of the big ones, really, is going to be romance scams. And that's just where a scam artist develops a relationship over quite a long period of time in some instances. And they develop that trust. They develop, often the victim has feelings for the person that they're communicating with online only. And one of the red flags there is that there rarely, if ever, will be an actual physical meeting. There might be some grainy video meetings where you can't distinguish something, but they're exactly who you're talking to. But romance scams are a big one, and they're very effective of separating the victim from their money, oftentimes in large amounts. Cryptocurrency is similar. Those can often start off as a romance scheme, but there's a relationship developed over time on social media. They can typically identify who they want to go after, in as much as if somebody likes a post about cryptocurrency, you might be liking a post that's by a scammer, so that now they know to contact you and reach out. And then oftentimes they develop relationships, and then we've seen it take 3 months. They'll develop a relationship, wait 3 months, and then start talking to this person about investing in cryptocurrency. So for that 3 months, they've really developed some sense of trust, and then ultimately it boils down to separating the victim from their money.
Okay. Thank you for that, Clinton. All right, so we're going to go to Jacqueline in Abbeville, who wants to talk about a scam she and her husband had happen to them. So we're going to go right now to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Tell us what happened.
So they called and asked about extended warranty on our vehicle that we had, and Kenneth did get the extended warranty for the vehicle. He signed up. And when it came about a year, we had been paying, but he signed up, I thank God, with a credit card. And so it was a year later when we had some problems, and we brought the car in to the dealership. And the dealership looked at us and they said, it's a scam. And I'm like, no, we have the book, we have the card, we have everything. It definitely was a scam. What they did, they changed the VIN number, our VIN number, and we never noticed that. And they also put a different year for the car. So when they called and asked about our year, they was like, no, that's not the car they have registered. So when I called to try to get it corrected, and, I said, y'all put the wrong VIN number down, and, they kept bringing me to different people. And so what they told me to do is to mail in my title to them, also sign the back of it, and they were going to send it to their fraud company and get it changed. And I refused to do that. And when I told them that I was going to get my lawyer to look at it, they was like, don't you want to get your car fixed now? And they were just like pressing us. You need to do this now, like right now. Sign the back. Just take a picture and send it to me. And so I could get this fixed for her. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it that way. They refused to give me the address. But here I have this booklet. When I looked at the back of the booklet, it was printed and made the day that Kenneth said yes to them. They are that good. They printed that book that day, and they had taken money out of the credit card for over a year. So we educated ourselves and to become more wiser for scams. So when people call our house, we will never say, when they ask if this is Kenneth or this is Jacqueline, we will never say yes, because they said they had Kenneth voice taped that he said yes. So when you say yes, they can put anything behind your yes. So we always ask who's calling, where are you calling from? And also always listen when they use different numbers, because they will use different numbers from your area and, like they said, from the Better Business Bureau. But when they get on, you will hear this beep. It would have a pause and you hear beep. When you know that, hang up immediately. It is a scam. And I just wanted to share that. Never thought it would happen to us, but we paid them over $2,000. We was not able to get all of our money back, but the credit card company did give us like the 4 months back. They gave us 4 months of the money back.
Well, that really ties in well with what Carmen was saying about the importance of using your credit card. Some of that is really good advice. Any thoughts on what happened to Jacqueline and her husband?
Well, one of the things, let me say, we get these calls all the time because Better Business Bureau, receives these calls because consumers, including us, receive that, extended service contract with your vehicle or your homeowner's policy or whatever. What we tell people to do is, just for information purposes only, if you are interested in getting an extended service contract, what we tell people is go to the mechanic that you know and trust, or go to the dealership and ask them if they recognize that company, or if there's somebody they would recommend that they've been doing business with for years, so that you know that you're dealing with a company that when you bring it to that agency, they're going to recognize it. Don't just assume when they call you on the phone that it's a legitimate offer. And she's right. She very nearly had her vehicle taken from her, because if she would have given that title, they could have taken it and said that they owned it. Never provide them with information. Never make a decision immediately on the phone when somebody's asking you. Get their information and check with us before you get involved.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Carmen. This is probably another good opportunity to run through a list of resources. Here at AARP, we also have a list of resources that you can contact if you're, if you're either you or a loved one has been a victim of fraud or identity theft. You can always go to our Fraud Watch Network. The Fraud Watch Network, the AARP Fraud Watch Network, provides access to information about identity theft, investment fraud, and just whatever the latest scams are. You've heard about some of them this morning. You can go online, aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. But if you want to call us, you can do that as well. We have trained AARP Fraud Watch Network volunteers who are always standing by to offer counseling, support, referral services to fraud victims and family members. And you can call toll-free 877-908-3360. To Agent Epperson and Agent Bradford, can you repeat your resources again? I know the ic3.gov website, is that pretty much the best, that kind of the clearinghouse? Are there any others you'd recommend?
1-800-CALL-FBI is also another way to get direct to a call taker. But ic3.gov is probably your best bet when reporting these type of incidences, because that information, again, is taken in and then it's distributed to the field offices throughout the country so that we have the best up-to-date information. And again, whereas maybe a small scam happened of maybe, just a matter of $100 or so, but in the aggregate, when we see these trends across the nation, we can look at those individual instances and open a wider investigation potentially. So ic3.gov is a really good one.
Carmen, do you want to run through your resources real quick with the Better Business Bureau?
Right. You can call us at any time at 225-346-5222. You can also go to our website at bbb.org. Check on a company nationwide. File a complaint on that website. If you feel like you've been a victim of a scam, you can go to bbb.org/scam tracker. We know that the news media watches that. That way, if there's a pattern, they can do an alert or a story. So it's very important to do that as well. Your personal information will not be given out, but the scam itself will be posted.
Okay. And did you mention the bbb.org/scam tracker?
Right. That's where you log a scam. But if you want to file a complaint or just check on a company or just get information, you can just go to bbb.org. And it doesn't matter where the company is. You should be able to get information from that site.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, everyone, for all the helpful information. And audience, once again, thank you for joining us this morning. This has been a great discussion, and probably one of those town halls that could go on for another hour. There's so much more that we could touch on, but we've gotten a lot of great questions and stories from our audience. So we want to thank everybody for their for sharing their story and for asking their questions. And as we near the end of our call, I would just like to give our guests maybe another minute or two to offer any closing thoughts or offer any final tips. So Carmen, we can start with you. Just anything else you'd like to add that we didn't really get a chance to cover?
Well, a couple of things. If you're going to be shopping for Christmas, whether it's online or in person, you really want to know what the store policy is. Don't assume that you understand what it is. Also, beware of these friend contacts on Facebook where they're telling you that they can get a grant. Be cautious of any of those because your friend's friend list may be hacked. Quickly, also, before giving money, everybody wants to give money to charities, and that's important. Monitor your giving. On any of these situations, when in doubt, you can always call the Better Business Bureau.
All right. And to the FBI, Agent Epperson and Agent Bradford, any tips you'd like to give our audience or anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Like just a couple of tips would be the government is not going to call you and ask for you to pay them through gift cards or cryptocurrency, and is not going to be really asking you to pay them in those ways. Be careful when you're getting phone calls. You have to understand that in almost all these scams, there's going to be a crisis that's going to be created by the scammer, and the solution to the crisis is typically going to be you paying money to somebody. So anytime somebody calls you with a crisis, you've got to take a beat. You've got to maybe talk to somebody within your network of friends, family, church members, coworkers, and use them as a sounding board to make sure that you're not making split-second decisions that involve you sending your personal information or your money to any of these scammers. And then just do your due diligence when you're online shopping and making sure that you're working with reputable, trusted vendors and before you make purchases. Krista, do you have something?
Just one thing that I'd like to add, since it is the holiday season and a lot of people are, maybe mailing gift cards or mailing checks or cards. We recommend that you don't put any mail in the blue boxes that are outside of the post office or other buildings. There have been a large number of postal thefts, so we suggest that you go inside into the post office and put the mail in there. It's much more secure than the blue boxes are.
Thank you. It just seems like there's just an endless list of things we have to think about these days. But thank you to all of our guests for sharing a lot of them. That's incredibly valuable information. I've been taking notes along with our audience. I hope our audience has been taking notes. There's just so much that we have to be thinking about constantly these days. But the good news is we have trusted resources that we can lean on for tips and advice. And of course, that is Carmen Millian with the Better Business Bureau. Thank you, Carmen, for all of your information. And of course, that's also our FBI special agents, Clinton Epperson and Krista Bradford. Your information was incredibly valuable as well. And to our audience, we want to thank you for taking part in today's call. If you're listening from Shreveport, we have a free shredding event happening this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Sheriff's Safety Town. So please bring by your documents and important papers that you'd like to have shredded. That is a free service offered by AARP. And as we close our conversation, we'd like to just end with the thought that scam artists are out there looking for new ways to scam their next victims. But you have the power to protect yourself. If you can spot a scam, then you can stop a scam. And joining the AARP Fraud Watch Network is a great way to learn more about the most effective ways to protect you and your loved ones from identity theft and fraud. And if you haven't had a chance to sign up yet, again, you can call our Fraud Watch Network helpline. That's toll-free, 1-877-908-6000. That's 877-908-3360. And if you prefer to log in online, you can do that at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. We apologize if we weren't able to get to your question today. If you stay on the line, though, you can leave us a voicemail with your question and comment, and one of our volunteers or one of our staff members here in Louisiana will return your call. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
The AARP